You know, before we talk about my vegetable garden, my 1 acre vegetable garden, which has got, asparagus and raspberries and all kinds of things growing in it, I did want to talk about kids, because here we are during COVID-19, shut in to a large extent, and some of us shut in with kids. Well, what a great opportunity to show kids how seeds work and how the world of Mother Nature really is there for us to work in partnership with, and we can grow our own food. My grandson, who's 2 years old, was in the greenhouse with me about a month ago, and we retrieved some seeds off an old runner bean that was left out here in the vegetable garden for the winter, and he helped me take the seeds out of the pod and put the seeds into a pot full of soil, and now I have Conrad's runner beans. You could do this. You could do this. If you don't have a runner bean out in your garden, then buy some seeds or acquire some seeds, or look around your junk drawer, in the kitchen. There's often a packet of seeds in there. And remember that kids love fast, right? Runner bean grows quickly. It produces beautiful red berries, lovely, long, big beans late in the season. They're a lot of fun. So are sunflowers. If I had to say the one thing that you would grow with grandchildren or children that they're going to love would be sunflowers. And like the name suggests, they need sun. They need lots of sun and a nice open soil like most vegetables and flowers do. So come on down here. We're going to talk for just a moment about vegetables you'll grow from seed right now. In other words, you will sow these seeds directly into the ground. And I'm going to start with a flower. This is calendula. You're going to say, yeah, but that's not a vegetable. Yeah, but you can eat it. Did you know that? Sometimes called a pot marigold because you can put it in a pot with some soup. Carrots. I'm going to talk more about carrots in just a minute. Spinach, lettuce, all kinds of lettuce, but especially the leaf lettuce and mesclun mix. Mesclun mix is sort of like lettuce and arugula and a bunch of other stuff that it's all frost hardy, and you can sow them from seed right now in the garden, and it's so easy. All you have to do is prepare the soil. So, Mary, if you could just back up a little bit, and there we are. There we are. We've got carrots in here. Now you wouldn't know it because you don't see them, but they're going to take 3 weeks probably before they germinate and begin to show themselves. But they are sown here, and I didn't put the date on that one. I almost always put the date on just because I'm curious to know when did I sow them. And gardening is an ongoing experiment. I've been gardening for maybe 40 years, and I still am experimenting out in the garden. I like to know, when did I sow it, how's it performing, and next year I try to remember some of that stuff. And every year I learn some lessons. So direct sown into the garden right now. You could do radishes, by the way, beets, and over here I have another little thing going on. I want to say it's an experiment. It's not really an experiment because I know what it's doing. What I have here are beets, and I've sown them just like I did in that row, and there's nothing really to see under here yet because they haven't germinated. But this floating row cover is actually, if you sow, if you're a sower, you know what this is. This is the interface. Mary calls it the interface that you would use when you're making a skirt, for instance, or a dress. We call it a floating row cover. It allows sunshine through, it allows water through, but it protects the young seedlings from frost and from wind. And the wind, especially once a seedling is up, can be quite damaging because it just draws so much moisture away from the plant. Now, there's another way you can do this. This happens to be, you see the support there, this happens to be a manufactured product you would buy as a kit. And it happens to be a Mark's Choice product, but the truth is, they are elsewhere. You can buy them. You can buy them around, and it does the job really nicely. That's remade.
Pull the frame out. Pull the frame right out. That's
there. You want to see how that works? There's not much to it, right? But it gives the whole thing a little structure, and you could do this yourself over here. I'm going to show you how I've done it with coat hangers. Now, I've used this coat hanger at the back as an anchor, and I've used, just let me pull this out, this one as a frame. And what I have growing here is Simply Salad Blend. So this is like a mesclun mix. It's very similar too. And you can see how it's coming up very, very nicely. The thing I like about plastic, clear plastic, and not black plastic in this case, is you create a mini greenhouse effect, which intensifies the heat of the sunshine on a beautiful day like today, and it speeds up the germination of the seeds. Sown on the same day as those beets, which of course haven't germinated, my mesclun mix is coming up very nicely. The only thing you need to be aware of is, as it grows, you need to thin these little seedlings, so there's about an inch or 2 or 3 centimeters between each plant, and you can't fry them. If you leave this transparent plastic top on through a really hot day, and I mean maybe plus 20 degrees, you can actually burn the plants that are under here. So you need to keep your eye on it once your vegetables have germinated and they've started to grow, and you vent it. How do you vent it? Well, it's quite simple. You just pull the plastic back like that for the day, and then at night you put it back again. And when it gets warm, take it back off. And eventually I'm going to take it right off all the way down to the end of the row. So what else do I have planted out here? Snow peas, calendula, red onions, yellow onions. You're wondering why I've got all these rocks here. It's because it gets pretty windy out here. Okay, we're not quite done. We have questions. But before I get to the actual questions, this answers a question actually, about soil preparation, is I want to show you my dirt pile. Now, this is not just dirt. This is completely weed-free mushroom compost that I've had cut with 30% sand. And I use sand because it allows water to flow through it freely. It opens it up, and it's great for everything I grow. I can start new grass seed with this. I can use it when I'm planting shrubs or roses. And of course I use it out here in my vegetable garden. I'll go through about 30 yards of this stuff. This is my first load. It's a 10-yard load, and I must admit, it's sort of like a sandbox for me. So, some questions. I really want to start a vegetable garden in the backyard this summer, but I don't have any kind of green thumb. In fact, I've already managed to kill a bunch of sprouts in my indoor greenhouse. So I need some help. What are the easiest, most forgiving vegetables to grow in my backyard? Number 1, radishes. I didn't mention that earlier, but actually grow radishes by sowing seeds right now in your garden. They're frost hardy. They grow so quickly. They actually produce a crop in 35, 40 days. And another great thing to grow with kids, right? Remember, you need the sunshine, but other than that, just a nice open soil helps a lot. Remember that sand? I use sand because it breaks it down so nicely. But that would be number 1. Leaf lettuce would be number 2. Green beans and yellow beans, the bush type, number 3. But you won't sow those until it gets nice and warm in late May. They need warm soil, which brings me nicely actually to plants that are frost tender that you don't actually start indoors. You just sow the seed directly in the ground around the 24th of May weekend, for instance, or anytime after that for a couple or 3 weeks. That would be beans, melons, pumpkins, corn. Has to have heat. And it's not just about the air temperature, it's also about the temperature of the soil. It should be at least 20 degrees. I'm waiting for seeds. What can I do to prepare my containers for when the seeds arrive? So let's assume that you're in a condominium or an apartment, you have a balcony, you've got that sunshine, and you want to plant on the balcony, obviously in containers because you don't have a garden like I do. Well, first of all, don't plant in the same soil that you used last year. Do you need to remove all of it? No, but remove at least 20 centimeters, so 10 to 12 inches top layer. Where should it go if you live in a condo? Take it down to the superintendent and ask them if you can put it in the garden that exists. It's good stuff. It's just not good enough to grow a really good quality crop of vegetables on your balcony this year, and then replace it with good quality potting soil or a container mix, and you'll find that makes all the difference in the world. So that's number one. You can prepare your containers that way. Make sure that there's a little bit of crockery or broken clay pot in the bottom for drainage, because drainage is key. Remember what I said about watering? Always let your seedlings get on the dry side before you apply more water. Well, you should also, where containers are concerned, make sure that you always have good drainage. Let that water flow through freely and out the bottom somewhere, right? That's really important. And what can you use for drainage besides broken pottery? A little bit of gravel does the job. So go out to the road, you'll probably find some, or on your driveway. Keep in mind that you do need that sunshine, but if you don't quite have 6 hours, another question, what can I grow in partial shade? And the answer is anything that's leafy. Leafy, like for instance, mint, and we haven't even talked about herbs, but mint, the arugula, the leaf lettuce, anything that's leafy that you're harvesting the leaf of will grow in a little less than 6 hours of sunshine. And can you grow on the north side of an apartment balcony, or for that matter, a condominium? The answer is yes, but your season is going to arrive a little later, because the sun, you see, one thing that COVID-19 can't change is the fact that the earth is constantly tipping on its axis, and our days are getting longer right up until the 21st of June, and we can't stop that. And that's a gift to gardeners. So thanks so much for joining me. I did want to say that if you want more information, if you want details about anything that I've said here, go to markcullen.com. Keep your eye out for the Ben and Mark Cullen column in the Toronto Star every Saturday, and I'll look forward to talking to you again soon.